Hello, welcome to Monte Carlo Tamale.
Hi, Sunita. Welcome to Monte Carlo Tomorrow.
Thank you, Krista. Lovely to see you.
So nice to see you. We were just saying it's at least 100 years since we've
At
seen.
least 100 years. I know, at least 100 years. It's been an awful long time, but well overdue, that's for
Yes,
sure.
yes,
Well
exactly.
overdue. Yes, it's so nice to see you. You look very well.
So do you, my dear. We're talking to each other in the summer, which means that we're glowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going
Yes.
to chat today about your kind of Monte Carlo to Marlow moment, which is, as we were chatting earlier, it's a bit like, what did you train to do? What did you think was going to be your career? And then you're doing something so different now. It's always really interesting. And I think an inspiration for people that feel a bit stuck in a job or feel like they're not doing quite what they are being fulfilled doing. So talk to me about what you originally wanted to do as a career.
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a journalist. I love the written word, and I wanted to, help people with words, you can say. So I did train as a journalist. I then did a master's in investigative journalism at Nottingham Trent University, and that led me on to then working as a business journalist for a news agency. And it was absolutely amazing. Honestly, it was everything I had wished for. That job took me, I was living abroad for pretty much 5 years. I was changing country. I was meeting lots of interesting people. I was interviewing, it was quite high level. So it was CEOs, it was business leaders, politicians, and I was living in different countries. So I jump into a country for 4 months, compile a business report, and then I'm off to the next one. And you know yourself, Krista, you're a well-traveled woman, you know how much that just shifts, you evolve so much through that. I mean, you grow so quickly. So having a career like that at a young age, I it was kind of like a deep dive into like life and exploration and travel. But what really happened for me was increasingly I started to go down a more holistic route. I was in Canada when I went to my first yoga class. This is like 1999, and yoga wasn't even a thing then. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then I was living in Holland, and then I started to go to this really amazing 90-minute class where these two yogis, the two teachers, had trained in India with a teacher called Patabi Joyce, and they were using incense, and I was really feeling the benefits. And so increasingly, I started to go down this more personal holistic route. And then increasingly, I started to feel that I had a deeper purpose, like there was something more I wanted to explore, in my potential. And the turning point actually came when my company, they actually sent me to India. And I found myself reconnecting with my culture and also with all that wisdom. India, everywhere you go, it's kind of like a fountain of wisdom. And also it connected me to Ayurveda. So I started to heal from, by having treatment and by exploring more of the yoga, the mindfulness, the meditation, started to heal from some things in my past, but also started to become very interested in Ayurveda as a framework and understanding more about the connection between the mind, the body, the emotions. Um, so it was like, wow, what is this? It was quite something. Yes,
And
yeah.
can you remember the first time you came into contact with someone that was practicing or talking about Ayurveda? Because there's one thing going from yoga to, I mean, there's so much in India, as you say, it's a font of knowledge, of wisdom, especially in the holistic field. Can you remember thinking what dosha type might, like how much did you get into that first time that you were introduced to it?
So first it was all experiential. So actually one of the kind of the real turning points was I'd sort of landed in India. My company sent me to Delhi. I was still working as a journalist. I was walking through Hansel Plaza, which is this fabulous shopping center in Delhi. And everybody's shopping for saris and artifacts and all these amazing Indian things, art. And there was a little meditation shop in the corner. And I walked into that meditation shop, and the teacher, um they call, the traditional name Swami, started talking to me about the retreats that they run and the clinics that they have. And I was like, wow, this is like a whole world, that I really am unfamiliar with. And 2 weeks later, I found myself on my first meditation retreat, not having had a practice. So it was a real deep dive. But I'd say with Ayurveda, the first time that absolutely came into consciousness was then my company then sent me to Mumbai. So I was placed there. And the retreat people had a place in Pune, which was an hour outside of Mumbai. So I was taking the train to go and hang out in their kind of ashram retreat. And there was a clinic there that I had an Ayurvedic massage. And honestly, it blew me away. I literally had such like a transformative experience. It was so incredible. And that's really the point where I started to do more of a deep dive and ask more questions, and started to really, I think, go on a more kind of focused journey in learning about Ayurveda. So
And
yeah.
had you, at that point when you were getting really interested in it, did you ever consider that this might be an alternative career?
At that point, no. So at that point, I was still really busy. I was still I was still enjoying the experiences for myself from a holistic perspective and learning more about myself as well. Because in the West, we weren't talking about this stuff at that time. It's really you and me know, because we're in this world, in this wellness world, that it's the last 10, 15 years when we've seen the shifts. But in India, it was very much, it was very much part of everyday life. And I think I feel, gosh, it's a really good question. What happened? So as I delved deeper and I started to look at my own health more so and understand my own story, my own journey, I then went on a trip to Kerala. So I took myself off and I had an amazing, an amazing month of actually kind of traveling around. I did the houseboats and, went to a couple of different retreats out there. And then I came into contact with some teachers of Ayurvedic bodywork. So they were Ayurvedic doctors and they had a clinic and they ran training courses. And but actually prior to that, I'd also gone to the Shivananda Center and started to do some workshops and learn a little bit more. So I think those two experiences are the experiences where I then felt very much pulled to going in this direction. And I was in a fortunate position because I'd been working abroad for, a number of years. I'd been sensible and saving, and so I kind of was at a point in my life where if I wanted to explore something else, I I was able to do that within reason. And this just really called out to me. Yeah, it's a big calling.
And what were the first steps? Because, you've done so much now. It's sort of more than 20 years that you've had your company and you run courses, you have products, and, you've really, I would say you were at the forefront of really bringing that over to the UK. So what was the first thing that you thought? Because there's one thing about thinking I'm really interested in it, but obviously you've got to monetize it as a
Yeah.
business.
Mhm.
What was the first step towards thinking, okay, I'm going to do this in the UK? Did you consider that that would be your first market? How did you go about the first? Did you have a business plan? What
Yeah,
did you plan?
it's really it's very interesting, isn't it? All of these steps. I think as I've evolved as a business owner, different things have become more important. So things like business plan and strategy, and what does this all look like in the long term, um but at that time it was much more intuitive. I was really following my intuition, and something very strongly said, "This is for you. This is for you." It was kind of it felt very deep within me. So I actually ended up staying in India for a year. I quit my job, but I'm still very good friends with my ex-boss. And even earlier this year, I met up with her in Madrid. So, we're still really good friends. I'm still really good friends with some of my ex-colleagues as well. But this was just like, it felt like it was something I needed to do. So I ended up staying in India. I did some more traveling in some more holistic centers and what we call ashrams, which I think is quite a common word now. And that was very much a personal journey. And then I stayed to retrade. So I retrained with the doctors that I'd met in Kerala, in southern India, in as an Ayurvedic therapist. So that was, and that's really my area of expertise. Is Ayurveda is a huge health system, free, and it's, you can focus on the cleansing techniques, the nutrition, the spiritual aspects. It's the yoga, the meditation. I found I had a skill, when it came to the body work. It was kind of like natural. It was like I've been here before. And so I did stay, I qualified. And when I came back to the UK, I moved straight to London. So, I know we were actually kind of not too far away from each other for some time when we both lived in London. I lived in London for 15 years. And so initially I set a clinic up. And I did that in a very grassroots way. I had a clinic space at home first, and then I started delivering treatments out of a clinic in Covent Garden, which was really, really good. And in those days, there weren't holistic therapists, but there weren't too many of us, So actually, I think my services were um, they were enjoyed, by people who were particularly struggling with stress, or they had anxiety or overwhelm or feeling disconnected. Now we're in a place where we talk about all of those things all the time, but we really didn't at that time. So initially had a clinic one-to-one, and working in the practice was really good because the owner of that practice really brought customers in. And I did a profit share with that clinic, which I now teach
You in
therapists all
Covent,
about that.
where were you in Covent Garden? Were you in Neil's Yard, were you?
So we were in a clinic. It was an osteopath clinic. I've forgotten the address now, but we went in. Now, I wasn't in Neil's Yard, but it was an osteopath clinic. It was a beautiful building,
Yeah.
and so you had a lot of male clients coming in actually, because it's a lot of a lot of the businesses around there. And also he was an osteopath, a well-known osteopath, so that was bringing in lots of people who were familiar with his work as well. So initially I thought, yeah, I'm going to be a practitioner, this is what I'm going to do. But then that my desire to want to spread the knowledge increased. And so in 2005, I developed our first training program. And at that time, I didn't know, I wasn't teaching or training. This is my first training program. So I had to think, where are our students? Who are our students? So that's when I guess I started to think more about, as a business, who's the audience? Where do I find them? And our courses are accredited with the Federation of Holistic Therapists. And they, at that time, they used to run groups around the UK. So I was like, oh, wow, actually, there are students, Federation of Holistic Therapists. I need to go and speak at their events. And that's what I did. And our first course it was unbelievable. I mean, it was such an amazing sign because the first 2 months that I launched our training, our 5-day, it was a 6-day course then, now it's a 5-day, we had 60 students. It was
Wow.
unbelievable. And honestly, Krista, I mean, that was just the biggest sign for me. I was like, I'm
You knew there
definitely
was
in
a
the right
market.
place. Yeah, there was a market, and
And what were
it
you
gave me a lot
teaching
of
on?
confidence. Yeah, it gave me confidence.
What were you teaching in that sort of week, that short day course? What would you come out of that with if you'd gone in as a
So that
student? But
that
you're
was
still continuing now, really, I guess.
Yes, that's still our core program. So that was a 5-day course accrediting the therapists in Ayurvedic massage therapists. So they're learning a full body Ayurvedic full body massage, and then some shorter treatments. Also Shirodara, which people are more familiar with now, and also a detox massage. So they're accredited as an Ayurvedic massage therapist. They can take this certificate because it's, where anywhere, if they're not from the UK, it's accepted abroad as well. And yeah, it was quite a journey. And I also really enjoyed the journey of seeing therapists come into themselves as well, and how, and I was just very excited that this system, can spread through the training program. Yeah, yeah.
And then your product line, talk about how you decided to do that, because obviously when you're using such traditional methods and traditional ingredients and herbs and medicine that aren't really found, well, a lot of them are in the UK, I guess, but you're looking at somewhere like India where that was your inspiration. How did you go about sourcing those and making sure that you had the ingredients? And I know that you're really mindful of, the environment. So talk about the inspiration for the products.
Yeah. So products weren't even in my mind. At that time, I was focused on my clinic practice and also the training academy and growing the training academy. And then I got this amazing phone call in 2007 or 2008, 2008, I think, from a guy called Paddy Quinn, who was the owner of the first eco spa in, I think, Europe, actually, because we're going back, a few decades now. So he was the owner of an 80-bedroom hotel in Southern Ireland. Really interesting man, completely self-made. He'd had kind of a roofing and building business and been incredibly successful. So him and his wife had owned this hotel for 10 years, and he was getting at a stage where he wanted to give something back to his community. And he'd gone to one of these architects, events, and he'd seen this incredible drawing of this eco spa, this kind of eco wellness center, eco spa, and all the materials have been thought through, and it was kind of a bit cyberspacey because it was kind of like this dome. He decided he wanted to build that, and he was also really sort of getting onto a spiritual path. He'd started to go to workshops in Ayurveda. He was certain teachers, when they came to the UK, he would go on their workshops. And I got this phone call, and he said, I've heard about your training methodology. I'm building this, and I would love Ayurveda to be the therapeutic backbone. Would you come and meet us? So went out, flew out to meet them. Beautiful man, beautiful family, beautiful team. And so, in a nutshell, I developed our training methodology to then suit a commercial model, a spa. And then at that time, I was importing all the traditional oils from India, and they're really quite pungent. So they're fine from a medicinal, as you would know, perspective, but for wellness, they're quite pungent. And actually, he gave me the confidence. He said, "Have you considered developing your own skincare line?" And as soon as he said it, I thought, that's the missing link. That's also, that's how we can now. That's how what we should do this, and that's also ultimately how we can grow. So, I then basically made connections back in India. And actually, part of this story is my grandfather was an Ayurvedic doctor. So I had connections with some of the some farms. I had an idea where to source the medicinal herbs from. So we've ended up working with independent farmers, which are actually based in the south of India. And they're all, a lot of these farmers it's kind of like they're preserving almost generational sourcing. So, their ancestors have started these small farms, and then they've continued that. So everything's all the herbs that we bring in, it's all potent, high quality, but we have everything manufactured in the UK. And and I do believe you can make beautiful products without the expensive integrity. You can you can maintain that quality. You can maintain your relationships with growers. And I've been working with the same people now, since pretty much since the beginning. So our relationship is really tight. And it makes me really happy also to think that actually we're a niche brand. But also, we are an opportunity for those medicinal plants to keep spreading, keep growing.
Exactly. You are, you're supporting small farms,
Yeah.
and you're spreading a kind of a really lovely way of looking after your health in a really holistic way. And it's a win-win, really, isn't it?
Win-win. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'd say that is definitely the essence of our products. We've got very loyal customers when it comes to the products. So predominantly we're B2B. So we're partnering with holistic spas, holistic wellness centers, independent therapists and practitioners. And we also do retail through our own website. So we're seeing that has grown over time. And clients love the products. You know, when they feel them, they smell delicious as well. We've worked with you know, all the formulations have a really beautiful aroma. So that's also based on you know, based on the efficacy of each of the products. So, and also just the chain is completely transparent. It's just
Yeah,
it's
which is
nice to be a business where
so
you
nice.
have, yeah, where
Yeah.
you have that connection through, you know, all of the levels of production.
Talk about some of the products that you feel are kind of hero products that if someone was going onto your website, that you'd say, oh, this is the one you need to try, or this is the one that everyone always comes back with the best feedback. What are some of your hero products?
Yeah, well, so there's a few. So first of all, our range is based on the doshas,
Yeah,
which
we
is
haven't gone into
essentially,
the doshas
yeah, we
yet.
haven't gone, yeah. So essentially that's the three energetic principles of Ayurveda, and it helps us understand your nature, but also your type, your constitution, your body type. So our formulations are very much based on the quality of the product when it comes to the individual dosha. So Vata means what moves; it's a moving energy. So those formulations are more relaxing. Pitta means what cooks, cooking energy. So those formulations are much more cooling. And then Kapha means Kapha is it means what sticks. It's more of a sticking energy. So it's more those formulations are more energizing because we want to energize the skin and the body. So when it comes to our products, our hero product is happiness in a bottle. It's a facial oil, and it's everything it says on the label. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it really does leave a glow, leave a glow to the skin. You don't need too much. And then probably the next range that we see the most sales with, I'd say is probably, it used to be Pitta, but at the moment it's Vata. It's the Vata range. And I think that's probably an indication of maybe our customer base.
Yeah.
And because the Vata formulations are definitely they're better for more mature skin. They're better for more aging skin. The ingredients are very nourishing. So at the moment, yeah, like the Vata face cream for rejuvenate. The cleanser also, often
I
you
love using oils. I'm
yeah.
such an oils person. So as we've kind of not touched, Ayurveda really is, the principles are the three doshas, and you've sort of like touched upon it there. In a nutshell, because I know this is probably like a one-to-one consultation with you, but if somebody wanted to sort of find out how to, you could go to your website and obviously, and you've got a little bit of a description of how to sort of identify yourself. But if you wanted to find out intuitively perhaps, and you were asking questions to someone to try and identify because you're not just one, are you? You can be, one or
Yeah.
two, and more dominant of others. What would you say to someone who wanted to try and identify what kind of dosha they were?
Yeah. So the first thing I say is we all have a unique combination of the elements. So ether, air, fire, water, earth. And it's kind of like your fingerprint, it's your blueprint. And so when you understand your constitution, it's really useful because it does help you choose the right support, the right wellness tools, the right skincare, rather than following something more generic. So that's
Even
the
the
first.
type of food you eat and
Yeah,
what time you get up in the morning and those kind of
yeah,
lifestyle choices and habits come into
absolutely.
account, don't they?
That all comes into account. So when you're so yeah, so when you filling out a consultation form, yes, you can do it online on our website. You're going to get a reading. So some people um are a solo, are very strongly in one area, purely Vata, which is movement, or purely Pitta, which is transformation, or purely Kapha, which is structure. Most of us are a mix, which is what we call a duo dosha. So yeah, so I mean, I'm Kapha Vata. We'll have to do yours, Krista, soon enough, won't we? And have a
Ages
look.
ago I've done,
Yeah,
but I've forgotten. I'm sure we probably
yeah.
changed. Did we change as we hit
We
different ages and
we
hormone ages?
We can, but you have your Prakruti, which is your genetic dosha, which never changes, and you have your
Yeah,
Vikruti, which is changeable. So that's the
yeah.
one where you will see some changes. So absolutely you can change. And then some people are Tri-Dosha, which is where all the elements are in equal proportion. So yeah, so it's good. So you can, yeah, great to fill a form in, but also really good to speak to a practitioner like myself for a bit more deeper insight and to really because you know we can talk more clearly about how to interpret that information and why and how it may be useful for you. Yes, so but
And
it is the cornerstone.
and aside from obviously, the products that you would use for your type, obviously, there's so much that you can help in sort of, people's nervous system and their, if they can't sleep, lifestyle changes and choices that once you get to know what someone's dosha is, that are probably really automatic for you to say, or, have you not tried this? But it might not be as easy for someone to discover. What kind of way does it really help to know what your dosha is and try and live a life that is a bit more in tune with your body type?
Yeah. You know, you get so much information from the Ayurvedic system. It is a framework, and I sort of look at it as six specific pillars. So once you do know your body type, your constitution, the first thing you can start to look at is nutrition. What food groups are suitable for you? So if you're in balance, then it's great, eat as you like. But if there's something that maybe you do need to work on, I mean, uh, uh, this week I had somebody asking me they've got eczema, and they wanted some support there. And, there's very clear guidelines in Ayurveda that can support you there. So, so nutrition, then it's also going to support you in choosing the right wellness tools when it comes to yoga, meditation, even, tantra or somatic practices. Because generically, yeah, we say yoga, we say meditation, we say mindfulness, but within them, there's so many different tools, and each tool is going to be more suitable to one type more than the other. What suits me doesn't necessarily suit you. Then you've got herbal remedies. So, your kitchen cupboard is just full of amazing stuff. And again, once you know your dosha, you can see more clearly which herbal remedies may be more suitable for you for whatever ailment you might want a little bit of TLC for. Then I put massage it, so whether that's self massage or whether that's a professional treatment. But even body work is unique, so there may be some people that need a very light treatment, whereas others need a lot more deeper pressure. Again, it depends on body type, constitution. Then you've got what I call spiritual practices. So if the word spiritual is connecting with yourself with rituals. So there's different rituals in place, which again some will suit some more than others. And then we've got what we call panchakarma, which is the classical way to detox the body, and that's also very unique according to your constitution. So it's so powerful, it's so powerful because it really helps your body shift in a very individualized way. It's a completely individualized system. Yeah.
And is your book still available, Sunita?
It is.
It
Yes,
is.
yes.
Because people can obviously, obviously there's lots they can read about, but I think listening to you now, you are an expert, and it's a really good source to get information from. So, what was the inspiration? Your book is "The Doctor Won't See You Now." I remember when you were writing it. I remember when it came out. What was the inspiration to write that book? Because obviously, that there's so many people that have come before you that I'm sure have written papers and things. But what did you feel that was your take on it that you wanted to include in the book?
So I guess for me, because I'm a journalist by trade, I write in my own unique way, which I feel is quite different to a healthcare practitioner. So I tend to write more in what I want to do is really engage people in this idea, in this concept. They may not necessarily be on this path yet, but they may find that this is a really interesting story which talks about the energetics of the body, and the real, talking about often, I think often there's a gap between sort of self-help tools and actually enjoying the journey, so there's kind of a sense of humor with my book, and kind of taking people on a little bit more of a kind of a fun journey, I would say. So that's one of the things that I think is very unique to the book. And also, I really, I hope I gave the case of the whole kind of idea of preventative health. Why wait till something's gone wrong? Like, why not integrate some of these beautiful, beautiful self-care tools into your life? Use the book for guidance, but within it, you're going to find all these practical well-being tools through the lens of Ayurveda, and which are very, very easy to integrate into everyday life. So I didn't want it to be complicated. I wanted it to be something that anybody felt that they could pick up and and utilize. And I didn't want to I wanted it to feel kind of like kind of your best friend, just giving you some nice guidance and pointing you in the right direction. That was
Yeah,
really
because
the kind of vibe.
if
Yeah.
it's too much, no one will do it, will they? But do you find that you have, because I think there's really important parts of the day, isn't it? How you start your day and how you end your day. I think, so you get a good night's sleep and you wake up and you've got some good morning rituals that set you up for the day.
Yeah.
Do you find that you follow a morning practice and an evening practice?
I think at this stage of my life, my practices are probably more integrative. They're kind of, I mean, I have a similar lifestyle to you, I think, Christy. We're both
All
single
over the
women
place.
running our businesses all over the place. Yeah. So we're in a fortunate position where we have time where we can also sit still. And so I feel now at this stage I'd say it's more the tools are more integrative, but I definitely do, start the morning with definitely with some quiet time, with some mindfulness. That's really important to me. I don't, when I'm having my breakfast, I'm mindful. I'm not absorbing, news or telly at that time. I mean, there's just some kind of like basic things that I do just naturally now. Um, love, and also just always being very committed to connecting with nature as well. That's a big part of just preventative health, of just, keeping us, supporting us before we reach a crisis point, is to have that. And yeah, I think it's quite. Yes, I definitely have more deeper practices. Like I will, sit and do a breathwork practice, and but I feel the biggest lesson that I can give is that everything can be bite sized. It shouldn't be overwhelming. It's the more you bring in awareness into your everyday life, the more you can kind of cope maybe with the busyness and the noise that's going on the outside.
Yeah, I think it's the same with sort of your diet, really, isn't it? That the more good food you eat, the less you want
Yeah,
bad stuff. It's almost like you are training your
yeah,
microbiome to say, we don't want that chocolate, we want the healthier 70%, please. It's like things don't even
100%.
taste the
Yeah,
same, right? Do they? So I
yeah,
think the more you do, the more you do,
100. Yeah,
because you feel good from
absolutely.
it. Are there any herbs that we can grow that you find are really popular in Ayurveda that we can use in food or in, teas?
Yeah,
Because I think, growing herbs is such an easy thing to do, isn't it? It's
yeah,
basically
yeah,
growing weeds, but they're so
yeah.
potent and they're so powerful. Are there any particular herbs that you think that people can grow in the UK? I know people listen from all over, but the easy ones that you would use that have got great medicinal properties.
Yeah. So I would definitely say things like, I mean, something like lemongrass is quite easy to grow. Not too difficult, and that's very nice and cleansing. That's something, you can have a few leaves in warm water, and that's really good for your digestive tract in the morning. I mean, things like ginger, I use ginger a lot in cooking. And certainly with with Southeast Asian food, we do use a lot of ginger, we do use a lot of turmeric, but these all have medicinal properties as well. So again, really easy to integrate into your diet. Um, Aloe vera is amazing. I mean, if you can grow an aloe vera is so incredible for your skin. So good for your skin. It's so cooling as well. If you're menopausal, actually having an aloe vera plant and actually the gel in the aloe vera plant is so good. It's so beautiful on your skin and cooling.
Yeah, I've got
It's
them in France that I can grow them
yeah,
easily, but then the summers we're having in the UK,
yeah,
they're probably going to be easy to grow over here as well. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, listen, to wrap up, I don't want to take up too much time, and I do like to try and make our little podcasts around about half an hour. Are there any topics that you feel that you would like to tell people that are, to get them into Ayurveda? Because it's such a lovely way to say a holistic way to try and heal so many things. Is there anything that you feel like we haven't chatted about that you'd like to get across about what you do to even like regulate the nervous system in the kind of world that we're living in now?
Yeah, yeah. I think probably a lot of people that, that listen to your podcast yeah, Western life is definitely speeding up like there's no tomorrow. And it's very challenging at the moment. We know, so much going on in the world. So I would say that there is a gap between people when people integrate, if they're feeling stressed, they integrate at all, but then they very easily drop it. So I think something that's really important is the commitment. I mean, they say it takes 40 days to bring in a new habit. I would actually say it takes longer than that, really you're looking at a good 8 weeks. So I would just guide that if you are feeling like that, if you are feeling stressed or anxious or overwhelmed and you're trying some of these tools, then it's really important to
Be
commit.
patient.
Be patient. Yeah, be patient. Don't expect everything to happen overnight. Um, and and also access ongoing support as well. We've got free webinars. So on our Tri-Dosha website, if you go at the top, there's courses, and if you go in the drop down, we've got 2 courses on there, beginners and intermediate. There's 8 webinars in beginners, there's 4 webinars in intermediate. There's lots of information there. So don't feel that you've got to kind of manage this all by yourself as well. There's plenty of good resources out there. There are good people to hold space for you as well. And they're highly skilled, they're deeply caring. And I think just don't feel like you're trying to do it all, alone. It's
Yeah, well, I think
important to
they
have good people around you and have that kind of tribe.
absolutely. I mean, there's research now that says that, loneliness is as much as a killer as smoking. That it's, the one of the things that you can do for longevity is speak to someone 15 minutes a day or, be
Yeah, yeah,
more involved in your community. It's so important as so many of us live on our own or, aren't in supportive relationships. It's really good to try and connect with friends and community and take what you can from that and give obviously as well. It's a two-way street, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, yes, yeah, and it's yes, and so it's accessible. Yeah, just
And if
bit
someone
of
wants to do,
research.
you've got lots of courses, you've got lots of online courses available. If someone wants to be a practitioner or find out more about what you're doing, I'll link to what your site is in our notes as well.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Yeah, so we've got different pathways. You can be somebody very interested, an enthusiast, and we've got a pathway for that. And then if you are a therapist or practitioner, we've got plenty to support you there. And we also do therapists when they train with us. We also do have a map on the Tri-Dosha website, so we do also list your practices as well. So we're all about wanting to create
Support.
visibility and
Yeah.
support. Yeah, yeah. Make sure people know
Anything
about
new on the horizon? Because there usually is with you, or are you just busy?
you. Yeah. Well, actually, since we last spoke, I was very, still in the sense, growing what was already in place. However, this year there is something new. Yeah, there is a new book coming out later in the autumn. So I'm just sort of putting together a soft launch in London. So I will share that with you as soon
Oh,
as I've
definitely. Yeah, I'd
kind
love
of
to
got it
see.
all organized. And this is it's called the book is called Shift Happens.
Mhm.
And it's basically it's a fun book. It's kind of looking at everything that's going on in the world um, through through the eyes of, okay, it's a bit overwhelming, but also what can we do ourselves to support ourselves and also our future generations as well. And then there's a 90-day program that you can follow. So it's very beautiful. There's a tracking tool in there. Um, so yes, I'm very excited about this. Yeah, very excited about this, and it's very timely because it also helps in any reader also self-reflect and actually look at their own energy and can if you're somebody who gets really angry and frustrated about things, then hopefully this book is kind of like going to hold your hand and help you understand some of those deeper
Where it's
motivations.
coming from.
Yeah, where it's coming from and what you can do for yourself actually to be the best version of yourself, because ultimately that's what
That's
we
what we're
want,
here
don't
for.
we? That's what we're here for.
Exactly. Oh, well, that seems like a good
Yeah,
topic to end on. Thanks so much,
yeah.
Sunita, for today.
Oh,
It's
pleasure.
been really good to catch up.
Thank you. Been great to catch up. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.